friends, welcome back. This video is a long time coming. Back in February, I ran a functional hormone panel called a Dutch test. It's a test I've been wanting to run for years and finally decided that it was time to take a more comprehensive look at my hormones. So today I'm sharing my process of taking the test and my results. And also, I apologize, I am sick with the first half of this video, but I promise it gets better. I hope you guys enjoy.
Hi guys, don't mind my voice. I'm getting over a cold. It's been over a week since I came home from skiing. I'm on the mend, but I just wanted to show you guys the Dutch test in real time. It's hormone testing day, which I'm really excited for. So you get this little kit and it explains how to do everything. It's really easy. It shows you when to do your collection times. So I'm doing the Dutch test today because I am between, for me it's like 16 and 19 or something. Because of the length of my cycle is a little bit shorter. It's usually like 24 to 25 days currently. So I'm starting it today. There's certain things you can't have when you take the test. So like today I can't have any caffeine, which the only thing I would have would be like a matcha. You also can't drink any alcohol. I don't drink alcohol, that was an easy one. You also can't have certain foods. So you can't have avocados, bananas, or fava beans for 48 hours before collecting. There's certain supplements you can't take. You also need to limit fluids, so I have to stop drinking fluids at 3 p.m. because my first test is going to be at dinner time, which is supposed to be around 5 p.m. So that's when I'm going to take my first sample. Should be pretty easy. Are these the urine strips? I think it's in here. I have to pull it all out, but you just pee on it, take a urine sample, and you let it dry. I'm going to do 5 p.m. tonight, 10 p.m. right before bedtime, and you have to restrict fluids again before bedtime, 2 hours. And then if I wake up in the middle of the night, you have to do a sample in the middle of the night, which I haven't been the past few nights, which is great. But that will tell you a lot of information about why you might be waking up at night. And then sample 3 is within 10 minutes of waking, so you're supposed to take it right away. Don't lay in bed, you just take it right away. Sample 4 is 2 hours after waking, no alcohol, no caffeine, and no more than 1 cup of fluids. I'll be done by tomorrow morning, which is really nice. And I'm really excited to see the results. So I'll take you guys along with me as I do this, and as we go through the results with Sarah, I'll show you guys what I find out. I'm really looking forward to seeing where my hormones are at. One thing that's interesting is I actually woke up at 6:30 in the morning, and you can't go back to sleep. So you have to test right when you wake up and stay up. So I ended up getting up at 6:30. I tested, I waited 2 hours, tested again. Normally I do wake up around 6:30 and then I go back to sleep for 2 hours. That's what I've been doing, at least since I've been not feeling great. I'm really curious to see what the results are. Okay, I'm gonna stop talking now. I finished the Dutch test yesterday and then I let all the samples dry for 24 hours and I'm gonna ship it out today. I ended up actually getting up at 3 in the morning for that overnight sample, which if there's a time, I'm going to get up at 3 in the morning, let it be when I'm doing the Dutch test because that's going to really give us some insights. I just wrote the dates on, where is it? A piece of paper and a reminder on a receipt to test when I woke up in the middle of the night and in the morning. I wrote all the times down that I took the samples, so I'm just going to write on the little piece of paper and I'm going to ship them out. I'm really curious to see what my results are. I'll keep you guys updated. Okay, let's get cozy here and have a little chat. I had my appointment with Sarah this morning. If I didn't mention already, Sarah is the owner of Winnipeg Nutrition, where I work, and she is a hormone expert. So I went through my Dutch test results with her. We didn't really end up chatting as much about hormones as we did about other things to do with my health, but it was still really helpful nonetheless. I am going to go through some of my results with you. Before I get into that, I wrote down some of my predictions as to what I thought I would find based on the symptoms I was experiencing. I guessed that I would have high androgens because cystic acne is a big concern of mine. I thought I would have low AM cortisol because it's still pretty hard for me to get out of bed in the morning. I also thought that I'd have lower cortisol in the afternoon because I get that 3 p.m. slump. I do things to work through it, but it's definitely a time where I feel lower when it comes to energy. Also expected I would still be dealing with some type of insulin resistance or blood sugar dysregulation. I've never been diagnosed with insulin resistance, but based on my symptoms, insulin resistance was
likely going to still be a factor. I also thought I would probably have elevated estrogen and low progesterone. That is the pattern that a lot of women follow when they are dealing with PMS, acne, mood issues, especially when it comes to premenstrual mood issues, anxiety, depression. Yeah, just a lot of things around estrogen dominance and low progesterone. That's a pattern that a lot of women deal with. So I just expected that would be me. It wasn't, which is really interesting. And I also expected I would probably be dealing with poor estrogen metabolism, meaning my body wasn't breaking down estrogens properly, which can lead to elevated levels of estrogens. That can lead to things like anxiety, mood issues, a feeling of just general nervousness that can be related to high estrogen, low progesterone, as well as many other things. So that was what I thought I was going to find. Here's what we actually found. Estrogen is not elevated. That is a big win. I'm really happy about that. She said that estrogen looks pretty good. I'm creating estrogen and I'm generally metabolizing it well. I'm generally breaking it down well, except for a little bit later on in the pathway. There's a bit of a detox issue, but generally estrogen is pretty good. Uneventful, she said. We did find low progesterone and progesterone metabolites. So that was not surprising to see, but again, I just liked seeing it on paper. Okay, this is what we have to deal with. High stress or elevated cortisol, that will eventually lead to low progesterone. That is a big cause of low progesterone, having elevated stress hormones and just dealing with a lot of stress and kind of having that stressy lifestyle. Your mind is always stressed. Maybe you work a really stressful job, or someone just has a lot of physical stress going on in their life with busyness, etc. There's also a lot of different types of stress. There's GI stress, like if your gut is dealing with a lot of imbalances, that puts stress on your body. That can affect your hormones too. So really it does all begin in the gut, which is why I love helping women with gut health, because this is all amazing and it shows you a lot that's going on in your body. When we really work on gut health, a lot of this improves. Little side note there. Testosterone, I expected, like I said, elevated androgens. So she said that they're not necessarily super high, but in relation to progesterone, there is just too much circulating in my system. So there's more androgens circulating in my system because it's not balanced out with the progesterone. That can lead to acne, hair loss, moodiness, bloat, anxiety, all kinds of things. So she said I'm operating more in the androgen heavy side. So that makes sense to me with what I know about hormones and the symptoms I've been dealing with. We can lower androgens by supporting cortisol, supporting progesterone. There's other ways too, but that's what I'm going to focus on right now. Let's talk about cortisol. Okay, everyone on social media has been talking about everything to do with having elevated cortisol. I have low cortisol. A lot more people than they think have low cortisol. Now, if your cortisol has been elevated for long periods of time, eventually it will drop. So I've been in high stress mode, burnout mode for a very long time. I got out of the worst of it a number of years ago when I was pretty much bedbound, couldn't really get out of bed at all for years. So now I have it a little bit more handled, but a lot of women just struggle with getting up in the morning. They feel really tired in the morning because cortisol is too low. For me, it's spiking around morning time, probably 9, 10 in the morning, which makes sense because I start to feel that kind of jittery, low blood sugar, anxiety creeping in. I call it body anxiety, where it's like my body feels stressed, but I have nothing to be stressed about. So that is showing on my cortisol pattern here as well. What we're doing there, which I never do, is eating within an hour of waking. Making sure I'm getting protein, fat, fiber, and some healthy carbs and good salt, which usually when I eat breakfast, I'm getting these things, but we're gonna eat earlier than I'm used to eating. I've been a nutritionist for 8 years. I know these things, but now having this test here to show me, yeah, you need to eat early in the day, make sure meals are balanced, it's gonna give me the motivation to actually do it. Later on in the afternoon, my cortisol completely bottoms out, which makes sense. I don't always eat this kind of stuff, but I just ate a chocolate muffin. It's paleo, it's healthy, natural sweeteners, and lots of fiber in here, but this is my afternoon crash. So I'll usually eat lunch and then have a piece of fruit after. That's my dessert. That gives me a little bit of natural sugars to give me a bit of a boost. This was my boost today. So I don't always do this, but this is a really good sign that your hormones probably aren't balanced if you're needing to look to caffeine. Chocolate is caffeine, but caffeine, sugar, all that. So in the evening, she said that my cortisol is pretty good, but also a little bit low, which is interesting. I feel like if I would have tested years ago, this would have been very different. I probably would have had high cortisol at night because I could never sleep. But now I do sleep a lot better. So it's really interesting to see. She does do all this testing for her clients. If you do want to become a client of hers, she is fantastic. I'll leave Winnipeg Nutrition's info down below. You can check us out. What else did we find? We talked a lot about other issues I had going on and what could be contributing to the hormonal imbalances because, like I said, this is great to know, but it's not necessarily root cause all the time. There's something that is actually causing your hormones to become imbalanced. Oftentimes starts with the gut. That's something I've obviously been working on for a very long time is my gut health. I'm a gut health nutritionist. So it's come a really long way, but I can see with this stuff going on and judging by symptoms, I do still have more work to do, even though it's come a really long way. One thing she said about cortisol too is that I have a lot of cortisol floating in my system. It's not being broken down, it's just there. So that can cause that anxiety type of feeling and fatigue going on. So just working on breaking it down better is going to be important for me. We talked about lymphatic drainage. Anytime I take products that move my lymph or move my liver a lot, or if I do things like even hot yoga or saunas, I love them, but they really move my detox pathways too much. So I have to be very careful with what I do when it comes to detoxification. So we talked about some ways that I can just support and build my detox organs without actually going into a full-blown detox. What else here? I'm going to be looking into some adrenal support. I've been on adrenal supports for a long time, but I'm just going to get my practitioner to muscle test some things for me and see what we come up with. I know I needed more minerals. I'm going to look into some homeopathy, which I've been wanting to do for a while. What else did she say? I totally forgot about this. She had asked me if I had a tongue tie. If you don't know what a tongue tie, it's like when your tongue, like you don't have like free movement of your tongue, like you have a piece of flesh attached to your tongue that's stopping it from moving freely. Usually you find it in babies, but adults have them if they haven't been treated as babies. So the reason she asked about this is because it's very related to your structural system, like your shoulders, your jaw, fascia issues. It's related to your diaphragm and how you breathe. It's related to your GI tract, and it's related to your pelvic floor hugely. That was just super interesting. I was like, wow, I had never really thought that this could be an issue for me. So it's something I'm going to look into. It was a really interesting perspective. We talked about, I already mentioned this, but supporting my detox pathways in a way that wasn't going to put me in a full-blown detox. So we talked about a product that helps your body produce glutathione. Glutathione is your body's master antioxidant. So if you are not detoxifying properly or you're dealing with all kinds of symptoms like related to brain function, gut function, pretty much anything, it often comes down to, are you detoxing properly? Glutathione is a really big player there. I am also going to potentially be looking into seeing if I have cavitations in my mouth. I have thought about this for so many years, but it was always something I was going to address later on because it's a big process if you do have cavitations. But if you have cavitations or infections in your mouth, you just can't detox. You can't really fully recover your gut. Your oral microbiome plays such a huge role in gut health. So if you've done everything possible for your gut and you still haven't been able to fix it, and you've done all the detoxes and all the cleanses and everything, it could be your mouth. That's a lot. I probably just overwhelmed you. I overwhelmed myself. So the plan right now is start with the really basic things like eating earlier in the morning. I don't fast a lot, but I do fast a little bit because it's good for your gut to give your gut a break. But I'm going to start eating within an hour of waking. And I'm especially going to make sure I'm getting protein and bumping up minerals in the morning and just making sure my meals are balanced pretty soon after waking. I'm also going to be looking at getting a consultation to see if I have a tongue tie. Also going to look at supporting building my detox organs, really supporting blood sugar, eating earlier in the morning, and I do a lot of nervous system work as well. So that's something I'm just going to continue doing because your nervous system plays a huge role in adrenal function, hormone function, gut function, brain function, everything. So that's it. I'm also looking at supporting mineralization. I'm going to look into some homeopathy for that, and as well as supplementation. So this is really informative. Like I said, I feel like we didn't even talk a lot about hormones, but we just talked about other things that I'm dealing with and how we can support things more at the root. We can mask symptoms with supplements even, and can take an allopathic approach to natural health. Just like with conventional medicine, often it's more how can we treat the symptoms, which we don't want to do. We want to look at what is underneath the symptoms and what's actually causing it. So these are some things I'm going to be addressing. And I think that's everything for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope you found it interesting. A little peek into what I'm doing. I just want to say, always work with a practitioner. This is not medical advice. This is literally just what I've seen on test results and what I know from my years as a holistic nutritionist working in functional nutrition at a functional nutrition clinic. Yeah, there's a lot more than just take this supplement, do this one thing. It's really important that we address your health holistically. That's something I always try to do with clients, and in future courses, we always want to look at holistically, mind, body, spirit connection, and not just look at what's on paper, because you are a very unique being and you need to be treated as such, and everyone has different bio-individuality. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I would love to hear some feedback about what you guys might want to see in future videos, so let me know down below. And if you're looking to improve your gut health, reduce bloating, and improve energy, then subscribe to the channel. And I'll see you guys in the next video. And remember, you're made to flourish.